Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahakwadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. Shabbat Shalom. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson. And in this video, I'll be profiling an article from sportskita.com titled, "Did the James Webb Telescope See an Armada of Alien Ships? Alexa video goes viral, sparks hysteria online." And this was published on September 30th of 2024, the hopeful year of Jacob's trouble. And hey, just with the start of October, things have been very exciting with the port strike and Iran's recent missile strike on Israel. A viral video where Amazon's Alexa claimed that aliens were making their way towards Earth has gone viral online. The virtual assistant stated in the TikTok video that the same was detected by the James Webb telescopes. Netizens have since taken to the internet to react to the clip. Here's the clip right there. The clip was seemingly posted by user Rissy Rose 18 on TikTok and went on to be uploaded by Marcellus Cruz on Facebook. The video started off with a person asking Alexa, "What did the James Webb telescope detect is coming towards Earth?" The bot claimed that an armada of alien ships was making its way to the planet at the speed of light. Alexa also attributed the discovery to GitHub.io. It is worth noting that scientists haven't confirmed the same at the time of writing this article, let alone the James Webb Telescope finding that aliens were making their way to Earth. Meanwhile, Amazon has not responded to the viral Alexa video either. And, that sounds pretty interesting because, scientists and other pundits usually come out and straight up, debunk things like this when they come out. But these last couple of years have been very interesting with these different governments admitting to the existence of US UFOs and their knowledge of them for the last couple of decades. And then on top of that, you've got these different governments also talking about creating space forces. And then, a couple of weeks ago, some information came out saying that different agencies and authorities were giving out handbooks, to their personnel, like the police, on how to deal with UFO sightings. Something very big is definitely in the making. And when you have an understanding of the scriptures, you know exactly what that is. But here's that clip, which I'm going to play it. Fair use. This is a copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
Alexa, what did the James Webb Telescope detect that is heading towards Earth?
The James Webb Telescope has spotted an armada of alien ships heading toward Earth at near light speed.
The video amassed millions of views online. Netizens, meanwhile, took to the internet to respond to the bot's claims. Many, ridiculed the same and expressed their disbelief online. Some reactions to the reposted clip on Facebook read, "We wish, and at this point, it wouldn't even shock me. BS, near light speeds, how old is this? Get real, folks." Now listen to this last paragraph I'm going to read. Other internet users hilariously brought up God coming to Earth instead of aliens. Several other netizens also claimed that it was an otherworldly entity that summoned the extraterrestrial entities upon Earth. And that's it with this article. But hey, according to the scriptures, hey, the Most High, whose true name is Yahweh, is about to visit this earth through his son, Yahushai, who is coming with an armada of chariots, which people ignorantly refer to as so-called UFOs, to not only save the elect of his people, the children of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, but also to make war against the heathen nations, chiefly the biblical Edomites or so-called white people. And Esau starting to admit these things is because it's getting to the point to where he can't hide them anymore. People are spotting, chariots all across the planet and recording videos. So Esau's trying to do damage control and get in front of the narrative. But, whatever Esau tries to do, not acknowledging that it's the Most High and his chariots and the angels, doing something with Project Blue Beam or whatever, it's going to get to the point to where it's going to be undeniable that it is, an otherworldly force, a heavenly force. Well, let's get into these precepts. This is Isaiah 66, verse 15. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, coming with that armada of chariots to make war against you heathens, to render his anger with fury and his rebukes with flames of fire. And that's speaking of that concentrated heat, or those so-called laser beams that are going to be getting fired from the chariots. Now I'm going to go to Habakkuk chapter 3. I'm going to start at verse 4. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands. And horns in the scriptures can be symbolic for power. So what? That's that fire being shot from the chariots coming out of his hands. And there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. Again, that great fire, that destruction coming from the chariots. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, the heathen nations, to render his anger with fury. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. And mountains and hills in the scriptures can represent different governments. The Most High is coming to, break you nations and your governments into pieces. As it says in Revelation chapter 19, on his head were many crowns, symbolizing him taking away your rulerships. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was Yahweh displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea? Thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation. Was it also say in Revelation 19? It says it in I think I'm going to just get it. I don't want to, paraphrase it. Revelation 19 and 11, and was the heading read, the coming of Hamashiach. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him was called Faithful and True, speaking of Yahushai, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war, to drive asunder the nations, and to make the mountains and hills bow down. But that horse, horse can represent power in the scriptures. That's speaking of that massive fathership chariot that Yahushua is returning in. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, taking away the rulership of you heathens, chiefly you Edomites. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself, which just goes into, people not understanding the magnitude of what comes behind Yahweh's name and the power he truly wields. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, symbolizing that great destruction he's bringing, which remember that. And his name is called the Word of the Most High, which when you read in John chapter 1, it says Yahweh is the Word of the Most High made flesh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. That armada of ships, of chariots, Yahweh is going to be coming with. Thy bow was made quite naked, which, that means, somebody bringing out their bows and arrows to use it. Again, Yahweh and the angels, shooting that concentrated heat from their chariots, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Selah, thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains or the governments saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. And what a bows shoot? Arrows. So again, those laser beams being fired from the chariots. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. To render thy anger with fury and thy rebukes with flame of fire. And remember that vesture dipped in blood. Verse 13, thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, the children of Israel, beginning with the elect, even for the salvation with thine anointed, the elect. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, and the wicked according to the scriptures, the wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9, verse 24, and the border of wickedness in Malachi 1, verse 4 are you Edomites, who Yahweh is returning to deal with personally and first and foremost by discovering the foundation unto the neck, Selah. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go to Isaiah 63. This is Isaiah 63. I'm going to start at verse 1. And what does the header read? God's vengeance on the nations, the heathen nations. And remember, it said he was coming to smite the head out of the house of the wicked. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? And Basra was an ancient chief city of the Edomites. And your modern day Basra would be America. This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat, like a vesture dipped in blood. Because, when you see people step in grapes, if they're wearing white clothes, it's going to look like they did a mass, amount of killing, which is symbolic for what Yahweh is about to do. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all mine raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. As it said back in Habakkuk 3, for he's coming for the salvation of his people and of his anointed. Let's go back to that Revelation 19. And the armies, the armada, which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, chariots, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that concentrated heat, those laser beams being fired from the chariots. And I recently rewatched that movie Independence Day. And when the ships got to shooting people, the bottom opened up and it looked like a mouth. That with it he should smite the nations, the heathen nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Because after the dust settles, Yahushai and the 144,000 of the elect are going to begin enslaving the remaining heathens so that they can begin serving hardcore bondage and slavery for the first 1,000 years of the kingdom of heaven, building it up. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty God. So I'll say this, what Alexa said wasn't too far off, but it's not going to be little green men and flying saucers coming. It's going to be Yahushai and the hosts of heaven coming in an armada of chariots to make war against you heathens, chiefly you Edomites. But now I'm going to close it out in 2nd Esdras chapter 13. And it came to pass, after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that had moved all the waves thereof. And remember what it said back in that Isaiah 66 verse 15. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, Yahweh will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. There arose a wind from the sea that had moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man, Yahushai, waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, that armada of chariots. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven, from the four corners of the earth, to subdue the man that came out of the sea, or the waters, the Shemayim, the heavens. And that multitude of men out of number is speaking of all these heathens that are going to be gathered down into the so-called Middle East, really Western Asia, for the battle of the Valley of Jehoshaphat in Joel chapter 3, the War of Armageddon. And like I said at the beginning of the video, you just had Iran do those retaliatory strikes against Israel. And now you've got, the U.S. and Israel saying it's a declaration of war. So, that battle is getting heated up, and even more nations are going to be gathered down there, for it to take place. And in the midst of that battle, Yahushai is going to make his second coming. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. That great white horse, that massive fathership chariot that Yahushua is going to be returning in. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. It was so massive that the prophet Esdras couldn't see the end of it. And again, when you go watch that movie, Independence Day, those ships were miles long, to where, say you were standing directly under it, like you trying to see the end of it would be very hard. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And again, in the midst of that battle, when Yahushua makes a second coming, these nations are gonna, stop fighting each other and try to fight against Yahushua, and they're gonna be terrified. But there's a spirit is gonna be put on them to fight against him. Verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war, But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been, a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. Again, that concentrated heat, those rebukes of the flames of fire, those laser beams, and they were all mixed together. The blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can very clearly see, we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and Shabbat Shalom.